Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 25-27 contract listening session. Next slide, Jennifer. I want to remind everyone that has joined, if you can please ensure that you mute yourself. That would be great. For the record, my name is Kim Freeman. I am the Compliance Audit and Performance Operations Manager. And today I'm going to be sharing with you information about our 2025 contracts. From our previous slide, we'll ask that you mute yourself. The session is being recorded and will be posted by tomorrow to our website. This is, again, a listening session for us, OPDC staff that are currently listening, and we will also listen to the recording to ensure that we hear your feedback today. We're asking that you place all of your questions in the chat. When you do place your questions in the chat, if you could specifically list which contract that you are referencing, and then the section that you are referencing. We're getting some feedback from somebody. If you could please mute yourself, we would appreciate it. Thank you. List where your question is, what the contract, what your specific contract, your question, list it there so we'll know exactly where to keep track of each question by contract and by section. Next slide, Jennifer. Here is your 25-27 contract team. This is your project team, myself, Amy Shabert, our compliance manager, Steve Arndt, who is our trial support and development manager, our procurement team, our program analysts, which many of you work with on a day-to-day basis, our resource council. Would also like to call out the policy team, the data and research team, along with our fiscal team. This has been a very large project within the agency, and many team members have been helping put the contract together along with all the exhibits and the information that we're sharing with you today. Next slide. So again, this is our second of 3 office hours. We had our first session on July 29th. The information from that session, the PowerPoint along with the recording, has been posted to our website. The recording and the PowerPoint from today session will be posted by tomorrow, and then our third and final office hours will be on August 7th at 11 a.m. for our case managers. Where this information is located is on our website under office hours and stakeholder engagement, public defense providers. So each of the office hours are listed by date. And so each of the information will be posted right by the date. So the date is listed along with the agenda and along with the recording. All of the questions that we received today, along with all the questions that are coming in through the fillable forms for each contract, which we'll talk a little bit more later about those. Those are being compiled, and all of the answers will be posted again on our website under the public defense contract terms. And I'll show you a little bit later exactly what that page looks like. Next slide, please. I want to point out some highlights to the contracts that if you've reviewed, you probably have seen a lot of these changes already. Most of you know that effective January 1, OPDC, the Oregon Public Defense Commission, is now in the executive branch. So there is executive branch language in all of our contracts. All of that language is not open to feedback because it is required language. So we'll discuss that a little bit later, but it is very well documented in the contract along with the feedback form. This new contract term is October 1st of 2025 through June 30, 2027. And this is for all of our contracts. We're going to talk about performance reviews. This is item 10 in the criminal contract. So this is a change. What will happen now in this new contract is the performance review will be 2 months. So if there is if there are two distinct occurrences where contractor's monthly caseload increases or decreases by 15%, OPDC will notify you, our contractor, and schedule a meeting to discuss. Because we want to work with you, this will be your program analyst will be working with you to see if there's certain circumstances that have happened within your agency, and we will work to work with you to correct any issues, provide any additional training, things like that. We will be working with you on how we can improve performance in your contract. Another change to this contract, both the criminal and juvenile contract, is item 12, which is your caseload report due date. The first year, we have a new due date of the 15th of the month. So we've gone from the 20th of the month to the 15th of the month. And year two, we are increasing that to the 10th of the month. Now, earlier in 2024, we had some office hours in reference to our caseload reporting that we had with you, our providers, our contractors, and we shared when we were talking about our public facing dashboard. And we talked about increasing and moving up the due dates of the caseload reports. What we heard from the providers that participated in those office hours is that if we made small incremental changes to the due date, this would not be an impact to your business practices in your office. So again, we've made the first year to the 15th, so that's just a 5 due date change, and year two to the 10th of the month. What is also being worked on with our data team, along with our program analysts, is we're working to create more information when you submit your caseload report if there are reporting errors. So if you submit a caseload report and there are errors in the report, the error message that you're going to receive back is, we'll say, line 10, error could be an incorrect amount, it could be an incorrect date, but it's going to tell you exactly what the error is. So you're not going to have to guess on what that error is. That is something that we're currently working on, and we've been testing internally with our program analysts, our IT section, and our data and research team to ensure that the error messages are clear and concise. So we are continuing to work on that, and when those error messages come back when in our new contract period, if there's something that is not clear, please feel free to reach out so we can work to make sure that we are clear. As we work on these enhancements, we want to ensure that the data we receive from our contractors is up to date and as current as possible. Having our due dates earlier each month will help OPDC share that data out quicker. As you know, we report data to our commission on a monthly basis. We have legislative reports that are due. So this helps us ensure that we can communicate the data that's happening within our contractors a little bit earlier each month. Also, looking at the caseload reports, we can use it as a tool with the OJD case filings, along with looking at the current cases and the volume that's happening in each of our provider offices. And then we can also utilize this data with the DAS, which is the Department of Administrative Services forecast. As you know, as most people are aware, we have the DAS forecast that the agency is working with on caseload information and the cases that are projected to be happening within our next contract cycle. So we're using all of those tools to look at caseload reporting. The next item that I want to talk about in a contract is the insurance requirements. They are the same for both criminal, juvenile, PCRP, and hourly. They're just different item numbers. So in the criminal and juvenile contract, it's item 17 in your contract. For PCRP and hourly, it's item 16. What you will see in the contracts is general liability, professional liability, workers' compensation, automobile liability, and a new one this year is network security and privacy liability. And we've broken out the amounts by the number of attorneys in each organization. So for the single limit of no less than 100,000, it's for 10 or fewer attorneys, or 250,000 for 11 or more attorneys. This is a new requirement, and we have heard lots of comments around this particular addition to the contract and as far as insurance requirements. So the agency is taking that feedback, and we are working with the project team, and we will be posting responses to those questions that we are receiving in reference to this new requirement. Slide, please. Each of the contracts will have exhibits attached with each of them. Exhibit A talks about compensation, and it is known as the roster of costs or the ROC. It also talks about changes to our vacancy funding. Exhibit B is caseload standards. It deals with the expansion of parcel representation weighting, reduced first year caseload, attorney shutoff information, MAC obligations, and also the new requirement that we have, or the new option, is to exceed your caseload. That information is listed in Exhibit B. Exhibit C is additional performance requirements. In Exhibit C, you will see the transition to hourly. So if you were a contractor transitioning to an hourly caseload, if you're leaving public defense, so succession planning, supervisory language, so what supervisors are required, and then some additions to contract administrators' responsibilities. Exhibit D and E are standard executive branch requirements. Exhibit D is certification as an independent contractor and compliance with tax laws. Exhibit E is the notice, and so that document says who to notice here at OPDC for changes, and then it will list who in your organization do we notice for change. So that information is listed in Exhibit E, and again, Exhibit D and E are standard executive branch requirements, so you will see those in our contracts. Exhibit F is for the SPPE, provisional licenses, and this is if your organization is participating in this particular program. Next slide, please. This slide also is exhibits, but it talks and shares with you our current rates for the 25-27 contract rates for criminal and juvenile and non-PCRP. These are the rates listed here. They do reflect the 6.8 inflation that OPDC was awarded in our budget for the 25-27 biennium. Next slide, please. This will be the rates for the 25-27 PCRP rates. And again, all of these rates are posted on our website. Next slide, please. So this is where OPDC would like your feedback. Something that we are trying new in this contracting cycle is each of our contracts has a fillable feedback form. So it'll take your criminal contract, it will take each of the sections, and the fillable form will state the section, and it will also then allow you to provide your comments and feedback in reference to that specific section. If there is a section that does not allow for feedback, meaning it is a requirement from DAS, our Department of Administrative Services, if it is an ORS, an Oregon Revised Statute requirement, those items are not, we cannot receive feedback on those. And what you'll see is the letters are dark blue and it has a shaded, it's a darker blue shade on the feedback form. So that way it will stand out to you that those sections you are not allowed to provide us feedback. Again, each contract has its own fillable form. So our criminal contract, our juvenile contract, our PCRP, our case manager, each one has a fillable form to provide feedback. And then with that feedback, it fills in or funnels into a spreadsheet back here at OPDC. So it sorts them by each question, by each section, and then we can take that information and compile all the questions and the answers to put in our question and answer document that we'll be posting to the website as well. Next slide, please. Here is the website. And again, this is on the OPDC website under contracts. You can see from here, we have all of our current contracts listed above. The contract feedback forms, and these were updated on July 23rd because part of our feedback was the sections or the blocks to provide feedback weren't large enough to for you, our provider, to be able to share all of the comments. So those have been expanded. So you'll be able to provide the feedback there. We have now posted the questions and answers that we have received so far for some of the feedback forms and from the listening session last week. We still have questions that we are answering and we'll be updating that form each week. So if you do not see a question that you have answered yet, just know that we're working on those each week and we'll be posting the updates to those questions and answers by Friday of each week. The contract rates that we shared earlier in the previous slide, those are listed next. Our project timeline, which we'll talk about in the next slide, is listed here. And this is the same project timeline that has been communicated through our commission meeting in July and the timeline that we're adhering to at OPDC. The next information is an application to serve as a new contractor with the state of Oregon. So if you know someone whom would like to be a new contractor and provide public defense services, this is an application for them to complete and fill out all the information and send in all the required documentation. And then we also have listed the previous drafts that were originally posted on 7/18. We've just listed them in this particular area so we can show what was posted originally and then what is currently posted with the changes that we made. Next slide, please. Here is our project timeline. So 7/18 is when we posted our original documents. We have between 7/18 and August 8th. So August 8th is Friday. This week, believe it or not, it's Friday by the close of business. So that is at 5 p.m. We are asking for all of the feedback to be submitted in writing in one of our fillable forms or today in the chat. So currently, our program analysts are working on the rocks. So that's the roster of costs. They'll be looking at each of our contract providers, looking at the jurisdictions that they cover. So we're working on that right now. Again, this is our second of 3 listening sessions, and we'll be posting the questions after each session. Once the feedback session is closed at close of business on August 8th, between August 8th, well, really, how about the next Monday, which is August 11th? So between August 11th and August 15th, OPDC, our procurement team, our program analysts, and everyone will be working to take all of the feedback, any questions, update the draft contracts, get all of that information in, and then we will submit it to Department of Justice, so that's DOJ, for the mandatory legal sufficiency review. That can take up to 2 weeks. So once everything has been submitted to DOJ for review, there will be no further changes to the document. And we will work with DOJ to answer their questions in a very timely manner to continue to move this project through for this timeline. We are anticipating comments back from DOJ on August 29th. So we'll take their comments, their feedback, we'll incorporate them into the document, and then it will become final. Once we do that on 9/3, we will send it back for one final legal sufficiency review. So from the draft comments that we get back from DOJ, we'll review those, we'll accept them, we will put the document together, but it does go back to DOJ for one final legal sufficiency review. Once they do that and they send us back each of the final contracts, then we will be sending compiling the final document. So the final contract. I want to make sure everyone mutes them. Someone's talking, so if you can please mute yourself, that would be appreciated. Thank you. Once OPDC sends those out, they will go out September 9th, and then our providers will review them. I'm sorry, they're going to be sent out September 12th. And then you will review them, and between September 12th and 9/30 or sooner, the soonest you can return them back to us, we will make sure that they're signed on our end to become fully executed and send back an executed copy of your contract. And the new contract cycle begins October 1st. Next slide, please. So here's our next steps. Please take a moment, if you have not already, to review the contracts that are posted to the website. Please fill out the feedback form for each contract that you will be associated with. Your feedback is very important to us. We want to make sure that we hear your comments. If there's some that we cannot answer, as you'll see in our question and answers document, it will say OPDC is under further review. So we've acknowledged your comment or your question and we're reviewing it. Some of the comments or questions may need to have review by Department of Justice, DOJ. And so just acknowledging that. So your feedback is important, and I would encourage everyone to fill out a form if you would like to. We've had quite a number of responses back, which we appreciate. And again, we're working to answer those questions. That is that is the end of our presentation. And like our first office hours, I will take this opportunity to allow to have your comments or your questions on the record verbally. I know everyone has been placing comments in the chat as well, and those are being captured. But if anyone has any questions that you would like to put on the record, please take this time to take yourself off mute and share those comments verbally. Give it a few more minutes in case anyone has any questions or anything they would like to share. I want to acknowledge that there are questions in the chat, so thank you. We will be documenting those and providing answers on our next publication of our question and answers document.
I have a question. Is there um, a link for where hourly attorneys can go and trying to understand how hourly attorneys can fit into the contracts?
There, yes, on our website, Jennifer, can you go back to slide? Ah, there we are. So it's slide 10. So on the website updates, there is a draft hourly contract terms. So there is a draft hourly contract posted.
Okay, and so that addresses hourly attorneys being included into like the regular contracts, like consortium contracts. I'm an hourly attorney, and so I was interested in taking like a partial contract and then also have the rest of my caseload be hourly. Does that make sense?
It does, and I would say I would encourage you to put a comment or a question in the chat around that. And then if you're looking at the specific hourly agreement or the draft hourly contract, if you have a specific question with either some question around how that would potentially work, list that question as well. Just some quick reminders before we end. Um, Make sure to fill out your feedback forms by Friday, close of business, which is 5 p.m. on August 8th. Any questions or comments that come in after that time will not be addressed or reviewed because we need to adhere to the 5 p.m. deadline. So our procurement team can go ahead and take that information and compile everything and get our documents ready to be submitted to DOJ as well. So please just keep that in mind. The Our project timeline is listed here, the draft contracts, the feedback forms, everything is listed on our website. If for some reason you may have if something, isn't available or isn't loading correctly for you, or if you have any concerns or issues with the feedback form, please let us know so we can get those corrected. So far, since we've expanded the feedback form um, boxes or the area to provide comments, we've not had any reported issues with not having enough space to provide comment back to us. There's a few more questions coming in the chat, so I just want to give it a minute to let everyone, any final questions, please put them in the chat. Again, we will post this recording by tomorrow, probably by noon, and then we will also post the PowerPoint presentation. And all of that information is listed on our office hours and stakeholder engagement. It'll be listed in the date today, August 5th. Right next to the information. So you can click on August 5th and both the PowerPoint and the recording will be listed there. For the previous office hours on July 29th, that will be listed below. And there is the agenda and the recording also posted there. And then we have our first round of the contract questions and answers posted on the website actually under the contract. So it's all listed there. And again, we'll be updating the question and answers each Friday as we receive new questions in and the questions that are here from today's session. I'll wait till 3:40, and if there are no further um, questions, go ahead and stop the recording and we will stop the session and post it. Again, everything will be posted to the website as of tomorrow. again, I want to say thank you to everyone, and we will be stopping the recording and ending the session today. Thank you.